David and housekeeping, awesome Jeff.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I am Jeff Doss. What's up, insiders? We are excited. It's going to be a great show. And
You got me hanging there for a moment, man.
yeah, I don't know what happened there, but that was kind of funny. Anyways, I'm just reading your private message,
don't you?
and
It was
that's
fun.
hilarious. That is funny. Yeah, it's
maybe,
it's true,
maybe.
man. I can't wait to get to that. Wow.
Isn't that
So
okay?
we got an
Okay.
action-packed show. We got an action-packed show for you guys. Start sharing, share it in all your groups. I'm doing that right now. And comment, guys, who you guys are, where you're from, who's watching, who you're watching with, and let's have a great one. So Alex got this is the first week of his Christmas shirts on. Sweaters on
last week because it was like the week of Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. How was
Yes,
your Thanksgiving?
It was great. It was great. I'm going to share some of that. My Thanksgiving week. I had a crazy weekend. It was a lot of fun. So you're wearing that. So you know what? Maybe I'm going to wear some old school windbreakers.
Yeah, look at you, man.
So my Atomics. We need to get Atomics back on. Maybe on as a sponsor one day. This is from I'm telling you, this is from 1995. I can't believe this is in as great a shape as it is. But this is the Atomics Grand Slam jacket that we all won for winning the national championship that year. So
you look like you got transported right out of 1993.
I know, man. I know. Maybe I'll start wearing this to tournaments. Again, start with the Atomics red, white, and blue pants that everyone wore back in the day,
or the Zubas. How about that?
So I saw a lot of Zubas this weekend.
You did
because
not.
I was at a wrestling convention, okay, with over 20,000 people, 20,000 fans there, and there were some people walking around in Zubas still.
I think wrestlers and powerlifters are the only ones who still are like, this is good. This should be a thing, because both of those people, they're like normal clothing, not good for them. They need to be in different types of clothing.
Dude,
you're not seeing a wrestler in skinny jeans. Sorry, that's not going to happen.
Well, they end up being skinny just because that's just how they fit.
Well, that's a good point. Depending on the wrestler.
Right. Oh man. So my Thanksgiving was great. I hope yours was. We had a great so like the Wednesday before was my parents' 42nd anniversary. So we went out and did that and did some had a dinner, and my uncle was in town, so that was fun. And we went around the downtown area, and they have the lights and everything down there. It was really nice. And it's right where I used to live at, right? My old apartment. So we're walking by there. This is just a funny story. This is weird. I haven't lived in this apartment in 3-4 years, maybe, I guess. Probably so. Yeah. And so 3 years.
Remember the one you used to do the show from?
Yeah. So 3 years, right? And
we all remember what it looked like.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, just that one area, but yes.
So we're walking by, and I'm showing my uncle, hey, this is where I lived and everything. And then I look in, like in the door of the lobby, and there's a Century box, from Century Martial Arts. I'm like, wait a minute.
No.
It's a package for me that's been sitting there. Who knows? Sometimes some of my stuff still accidentally goes there. That one looked like it'd been there for a while.
Well, what? Yeah. But wait a minute. You should have known. You would have was it just here, we also want to give you this? Because sometimes they'll do that. But
It might have been that. I don't know why I called them the other day and they had like 3 addresses for me. And for some reason, I was like, why is that even on there? And I'm like, no, that's, so I don't know how long it's been there, but it's just
That's
kind of
wild.
funny, right? Kind of a funny story. But anyway, so we had a great weekend. And then Friday, I went down to Winston-Salem, North Carolina for a wrestling convention, and it was a lot of fun. The convention was called WrestleCade. All right. And for wrestling fans that don't know, on Thanksgiving weekend or week for many years in the South, there was an event called Starrcade. So that's where they kind of took that from, right? So the main thing for me going down there was to meet the person who inspired me to get into martial arts, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And my plan was to meet him on Saturday because that's on the schedule was when he was going to be there. So I get there Friday. I'm like, okay, well, Sonny Ono is going to be there Friday. I'll go to his table and get an autograph and talk to him for a little bit.
Which most people don't know, Sonny Ono was sport karate guy too. Like I knew he was a sport karate guy before I knew he was a wrestler, and I never saw him do either.
Yeah, so he was a big sport karate guy. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go see him, and I'll go see around who else is there, right?
Word.
Well, a lot of the people that were listed for not being there Friday end up being there Friday. One of those is Ricky Steamboat. And I walk in and I'm like, oh crap, I'm not ready for this. And like, I was like, but if he's here right now, I might as well go right now while it's not crazy. It wasn't packed that much on Friday. Saturday was insane how packed some of the lines were and how many people were there. But so
because that's when they were supposed to be there.
Right. And so a few of them came Friday. But I mean, there was, like my friend sat in the line Saturday for 3 hours to see Ric Flair. Okay. And then there were people that sat 3 hours to see Sting. Both of those 2 lines were insane. Right. But anyway, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to go up and do it. So I tell them what I want. I talk to him. I share with him my story. He thinks it's cool. He asked me what style. He talks about he did 5 years in Taekwondo as a kid, and that's what got him. That's what he used that into his wrestling, formula, and which is what's helped him stand out for all these years and became a big star. So you know what's crazy about him too, and people don't even realize this. Most people, when they start wrestling, it takes them a long time to get in the main event, right?
Yeah.
This dude was in the main event within a year, like the first year. Okay. Like that's insane. Like, especially at that time, how big wrestling was. And so for him within a year to get in the main event, and then because he was big in this area, right? What was called the Mid-Atlantic area.
Yeah.
And he was really there from like 75 till 85, almost 10 years. He was in this area and being the top star, one of the top stars, the top baby face. And for people who don't know in wrestling, baby face means good guy, right? So I got to see him. He signed. I got my my belt out. I did my latest NASCA title. I had that one, and I just said, let me get him to sign this one. I showed him my white belt and my gray belt. I showed him that.
You can't believe you had it with you.
Oh, I had it prepared, man. I was prepared to bring multiple.
Oh, you knew this interaction was going to go down.
Right.
You planned for it in case it did.
You're right. So I brought that stuff. I have so many old things, and honestly, a lot of the times I didn't even go in to ask certain people to sign that stuff because really, I'm not really like getting the signatures for like to sell them and put them on eBay and sell. I'm not really, it's like it's more for my personal thing, right? Because I also the next day, Nikita Koloff was there. So I have a picture of him and I when I was 4 years old together. And so I brought that to him and had him sign that.
That's cool.
And then I talked to him for a while and he was actually, he's doing a lot of cool things in ministry and stuff. So there were so many different people I got to talk to. I got to talk to Sonny Ono and I talked to him about, hey, I was a fan of you before you were a wrestler. And I talked about watching him on Karate Rock on the VHS. I almost said DVD. It was not on DVD. And told him about how I didn't put the 2 and 2 together. I just thought it was coincidence that Sonny Ono was a manager like 10 years later. I didn't put it 2 and 2 together until Terry Kramer told me that it was the same person, and I told him that story. And he was like, "Wow, yeah." I was like, "Oh no, I know you, and like I'm in the same circles that you know. I know, like I'm friends with
I know the
Ernest."
same people.
Right. So it was pretty cool. And then I saw a couple local people that I know from karate that were there. So that was cool. And also one of my students, former karate students who's a big wrestling fan, was there. But yeah, I mean, it was a wild event, man. I mean, a lot of fun. You can go broke at these things. I definitely, I mean, there's like 125 to 150 wrestlers. They had just in 2 days, they had 20,000 people just there watch, just to sign. And then that didn't even include Sunday. So it was wild.
All right, so explain it to a non-wrestling fanatic like myself. When you say you could go broke at one of those things,
so think
what
like
does that mean?
So think like a Comic-Con, right? But
also speaking Japanese.
All right. So, anyways,
no pun intended to Sonny Ono.
So let's just say, all right, Ric Flair is going to be there, right? And you stand in line all the time, Ric Flair, to pay to get an autograph and a picture from him, right? If you want to, let's just say,
what's that cheddar like?
Probably for the combo of a regular item and an autograph, and you get a selfie with him. For Ric Flair, it's probably $200-250, right?
Okay, I feel like that's probably appropriate.
Then for most other people, like say JR, Jim Ross, it cost me $105, right?
105. Okay. I feel like that's a good going rate.
Right. So, but some of the other ones,
I mean, could go a few $100. I get you.
But you're talking about, hey, I have a world championship belt I want you to sign. Well, that could be $500, right?
Time out. Wait a minute. So you go to XYZ karate tournament. Right. You win the grand championship. And like this does happen. You get a belt. Are you talking about that? Or are you talking about like they bought a WWE belt?
Yeah. So
it would be crazy if they could get a hold of like a WWF belt, like back when it was WWF. Is that even possible to get?
Yeah, it's still possible to get. Yeah. So like my student, he has the old world championship belt that Ric Flair used to, like a replica of that, right? So he had him sign that. And then he's a high roller. So like he went to front row at WrestleMania this past year, right?
Okay, can I pause? How much does it cost to get a replica belt? How much does one of those run for?
Some are probably 500. If you get a higher level, it's probably in the thousands, maybe 2,000, 3,000.
All right, so let's say it's like 750. Let's split the difference. Yeah. So we get a replica belt. We're like 750 to get Rick. Let's just say Ric Flair. So we get a picture with Ric Flair. Okay, we're at how much? You said like $200.
You're looking at 200 to 500. Yeah, I think for Ric Flair.
So let's say $300. So now we're a little over 1,000. But then you want a selfie with him too. So that's another 200. So now we're at like 1,250.
Maybe 100 for Flair, maybe 100, 150, something like that.
Then we want him to sign the belt, and you're saying that might be 500.
Probably not that much. I was saying, yeah, I mean, like probably
350.
Yeah, something like that.
So 350. So now we're at like $1,600.
Flair's one smart. Guy, right? And then you're not talking about the entry to get into the event too, because it costs
that cost.
It's like $100. And some people pay more. No. You could get $100. Yeah.
Okay.
But some people,
now we're 1,700. This is nutty, man. You're right. You can go broke. Yeah, plus,
if you go there, you don't want to just meet one person though.
So now to get there, let's just say it's another $300 for the flight. All right. So now we're at 1,900. Okay. Right. Or no, now we're at 2,000 because I forgot about the entry. So then you got a few nights of a hotel. So let's put it at like $400 there. So now we're at like 2,400. We haven't eaten. Let's put another $350 for food. So now we're at like, we're at 20. Now we're almost at $3,000. Right. Okay. Then
I didn't spend this much, by the way, but
and that's one guy. That's one guy.
One guy, yeah. So, and that's your highest level probably person, right?
And you're probably gonna see people are probably gonna do this to what, like 4 guys, maybe
more, but not that much. So, like,
wow.
Here's the deal: not all of them have prepaid tickets, right? So Flair does, so you can prepay it. and save a little bit, like $20 or something each
That's
on each
smart.
thing. But
That's a smart move.
but a lot of the other ones don't put their prices out, so you don't know what to expect. So when you get up there, so like, I got there, I didn't know how much it would cost to meet Steamboat, right? So it was like for me to get a package deal plus him to sign whatever I wanted, it was like $80. So
But
really
it didn't matter.
bad.
If
No,
it
that
was
was what I
if
went
it
there
was if
for.
it was 140, you were still going to do it.
Right, exactly. But
Yeah.
then there were some people that, hey, you
Like
just
getting
take
Taco
selfie.
Bell at 1 a.m. It don't matter what the price is. Right.
Like if you want a picture with someone, a lot of times it'd be about $30, $40, right? For certain people that were at a certain level. And then, but if you wanted the combo, it'd be like 50 or 60. That was usually what the level was, right? Now, if you went to really the highest level, you had other ones that were like, like again, over 100, some people 150, like the Dudley Boys were very high. You also talking about Dennis Rodman was there too. Okay. So like his picture, his line was crazy. It was
That's
just
had to be
wild.
one of the longest, I'm assuming.
It wasn't as long as Sting and Flair. Like Sting's went from the convention center and it had a line all the way into, like, there was a tunnel from the hotel, the Embassy Suites, that crossed the street that went from the lobby of the hotel all the way to the convention center.
Who do you think is a bigger celebrity, Dennis Rodman or Ric Flair? That's a good question, right?
That's a good question. That's a hard one, man. And you're talking about those circles too, right? Because you have some.
Because Ric Flair definitely succeeded way more in his circle than Dennis Rodman did. Although Dennis Rodman's a 4-time champ,
right?
So it's like, but
more than that.
Yeah. I think it's because he got one with the Pistons and then 3 with the Bulls.
And didn't he get one with the Lakers?
No.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't. They were garbage.
No, he did. He got one with the Lakers. Yeah.
Well, on what season? They won their first season there. They won their first title in 2000. I think he went there in 1996 or 99. No, he went there. No, he went there in 1999.
It's on the documentary.
Did he really? If he did, wait a minute. Now that I'm thinking about it, he might have actually. I think I'm wrong. I think he did. Was it 1999?
Here we go.
Yeah, he would have been. Yes, he would have been on that 2000. I don't think he. Here's what it is.
5. Yeah, he won 5.
I don't think he.
Lasted
the whole. I don't think he lasted the whole season, but yeah, he was on the roster. I think that's what it was. You picking up what I'm throwing down?
He's got 5. So yeah, so he won 2 with the Pistons, 3 with the Bulls. But okay, yeah, he didn't finish that season. You're right. Yeah.
Okay. Or then it was just the 99 season that he was there. That might be what it was.
That's
what it was just in the 99 season, which they didn't win.
Yeah, that's what.
All right. So, but then there's Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Ric Flair, everybody knows. Somebody who's never even seen wrestling knows who Ric Flair is.
Yeah, especially now. He's actually more popular now than he was.
Bingo. Yeah. But that's kind of the same for Dennis Rodman. People who never seen Dennis Rodman play know who Dennis Rodman is. And they can look at Dennis Rodman and go, that's Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
I feel like you could look at Ric Flair and not know it's Ric Flair. I mean, like, we would know because we remember seeing it. But like, if you've never seen Dennis Rodman play, you can look at him because of what you've heard and because he's probably 6'7", 6'8". You can go, that guy's something. You watch Ric Flair, walk down the street. It just looks like your grandpa who's in crazy good shape.
Well, no, but then just has an excess amount of bling for no reason. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he looks like he's cooler than the other side. He looks Greek, right?
Well, yeah, he does. But like Rodman, to me, like when he was playing, he was a bigger star because he was a star than because he was a player. Like, if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
because he was a celebrity.
His celebrity was it outside of the game. Like, it didn't matter. Like he was the best rebounder of all time. Like, people outside didn't know. They just knew he was just a star. So
yeah, because he was a weird individual.
Right. All right. So anyway, so that was my weekend. It was a lot of fun. I got a bunch of pictures. I got a bunch of autographs. But yeah, I had to get out of there. But that was a lot of fun. and I left Saturday. Also went to a wrestling show there. They had a live wrestling show. Well, several ones. They had like 5 different shows. But that Friday night there was a pay-per-view, a TNA pay-per-view, which is kind of like known as like the third wrestling brand right now in the country. And so that was fun. Yeah, man, there are just so many different things to, I got to see like Jimmy Hart, got to see, Jim Ross, got to see some young talent that I feel like are going to be future. So I feel like, hey, I got a picture with them before. I got to see my favorite male wrestler, Ricky Steamboat, and my favorite female wrestler ever, Gail Kim. So lots of cool things, but I was glad to do, because a lot of times I don't do that type of stuff, if it's not karate, so.
As you're saying all of this, Jeff,
Yes.
what am I thinking right now?
I don't know.
Why doesn't Sport Karate do that?
Oh, I know. Well, the closest thing that we have to that, and it's not even really Sport Karate. It was more of like, it's just a martial arts action one, the one up in Atlantic City that Alan Goldberg puts on, and he has something like this, right? And I've been to it before. It was kind of cool. They had signings and things, but it's not to this level,
Yeah.
I feel like something like this could happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's this martial arts super show, but that's different,
No, Hacksaw wasn't there, Lee. Hacksaw wasn't there.
And I think the battle does a decent job. They usually have like one guy there. I know that Ocean State, they usually have one celebrity there, but I don't mean like a celebrity. Like, why don't we have like, if Ross Levine shows up at a tournament, he should have times where you could like, if you show up on Friday between here and here, you can sign up for an autograph photo time with Ross Levine. He's going to make himself available for you. Here's how you can reserve that. If you want to book it right now, boom, it's done and it's over. You don't got to worry about it. You just come in, take the picture. Here's this. You're good.
So the best thing right now that I think the group that's doing the best of this is Toronto, actually. So they have all of these. They have, I mean, really this year they're pretty much putting on like a martial arts con, but with seminars. And so they have, Thursday we have about 5 to 6 seminars that are on Thursday. Friday they have like for 5 hours. They have seminars going, and they'll have multiple people teaching seminars at the same time, and they switch. And so that way you could, like, I'm going to be teaching 4 seminars at Toronto. Okay. I am, Ross is, Justin Ortiz is, Juliana is, Reed Presley is, Casey Nash is, like, there's a huge, and I'm missing people right now. Joe Troya is, a lot of different people. And what's cool is that what Toronto is doing, they made a poster with all of our faces on it, and you can go and get the signatures from every single one. And then Ross is going to have a booth at one point where you can go and get autographs from Ross as well. So
that's what I'm talking about. That's
cool, right? And they do this Mason's going to be there, Jared's going to be there. So it's really awesome. And the way they have
they are doing it kind of like what we're talking about.
Yes, but it's really geared towards their local area. I think if you can pay for the seminar package, but I think it's pretty much free if you are a competitor, right? So they make it a way, but it's big for their area, and they get a lot of sponsors because, like, if you go there, like, I was shocked last year when I went, because I was like, okay, my seminar's at this. We'll see what's going on. I went there an hour before, and there's seminars going. There's like 5 different rings going. And then he's like, all right, now it's time to switch. Next one is this person's here. Yeah, Joey Castro's going to be there this year, right? It's a bunch. This one's at this ring. This one's at this ring. This one's at it's like they coordinate the seminars like it's coordinating a tournament. And so it's pretty impressive. So if you guys haven't booked your flights for that, or just your driving, your trip, your hotel, go ahead and do that. It's going to be a great show.
Think about it like this. Maybe not everybody wants to take a seminar.
Right.
Think about it like this. Right. You said Ross Levine's going to have a booth. People can stop by there, which I think that's kind of where it starts. Right. Now, let's say we have ballroom A and ballroom B. On Friday, they're just going to be doing seminars from this time. Like, let's say it's Enrique Latona. Okay.
Right.
Just put a name, but all right. And he's there and he's going to be doing 1 hour seminars from noon to 4. All right. So now there's 3 seminars that you can take with Enrique Latona, but at noon, click, that door locks. So if you miss it, then you got to wait till 1 o'clock to take it the next time. But in ballroom B, all right, you got Reed Presley, right? He's there. Boom. And now he's doing the same thing. So now you can do that. But then also all the others before they do that, they've got their own booths. Like they've got the Ross Levine booth. They've got yada da da. All right, you name it. Any of the legends, and I'm really talking about legends, right? Boom, they should have their own, right? I even think should go so far that Ben Stewart should set up a Nasty Anderson, like
right.
How awesome would that be? Because he'd get a lot of help. Because it wouldn't just be Ben; he'd get a ton of help with everybody. And how cool would that be?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean,
because when I saw Anthony Price
ballroom, though, don't think ballroom. Like it's more. It's there. There's more. There, like they have the whole tournament venue, and everyone's teaching. They may have 8 seminars going on at once, and that way, all right, you see it. Well, I'm going to go to him first, and then I'm going to go to the next one in the next 45 minutes, and the next 45 minutes. And
when
so,
it's wide open, the sense of urgency is not
right. But it's not. Well, it's not wide open because I get what you're saying, but it's set at certain times. So yeah, but I mean, because again, too, not everyone is gonna
love what they're doing. I totally love the seminar feel. Like that's fantastic. I mean, you're lucky if you go to a tournament and they've got one seminar, and even then, you might look at it and go, I'm not a sword guy, so I'm probably not going to do that. All right. Like if there was ever like as much as I love Calvin Choka, if he was doing a seminar and it was on sword, like that's not going to do anything for me.
Right.
But if Calvin was just had a booth and was just selling autographed pictures of himself, like that's totally different.
Right.
And then
so that's happening too, Alex, is what I'm telling you. Like
that's great. Because I think we need way more of that, right? Because when we were kids, Jeff, and we went to tournaments, there was tons of that, right?
Right.
And we ate every piece of that up right. And we ate all of it up. Anything that they had to give out, boom, we were buying all of it. All right.
Yep.
And we all wore the same thing you're wearing right now, too. We had them atomic shoes, too. Don't let every single person in one of those karate tournaments had at least one pair of those atomic shoes. That was probably like the one time. I will say this. That's probably like the one time where I pulled the you owe me, Dad. All right. There was one thing I did, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. When you need something, just tell me. You got this." And we were at a tournament, and I'm like, "Dad, I need these atomic shoes. You owe me. You told me." All right. I was very selective about utilizing that. I utilized it on a pair of atomic shoes.
Wow. All right. So 30 minutes into it. Now we're going to get to our topic, but yeah.
But it was cool though, man. All right. My Thanksgiving
magazines, player cards, equipment booths. You're right. And no, you're definitely right. So
I'm going to tell you about my Thanksgiving real quick, and I will. I will make it short. So my Thanksgiving was the best. You know why it was the best?
Why?
Because I ain't go nowhere.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
And nobody came here. This was it.
Right.
So I'm reading this book, and you're going to read this book, all right? And it's called The Storm-Tossed Family. Everybody's had, like issues in families. This book is fantastic, right? So about chapter 5 or 6, there's this point in the book where the author was like reluctant to say in the way he's presenting it that Halloween was his favorite holiday. And he goes, it's taboo to say that Halloween's your favorite holiday, especially within the church, because it's kind of a taboo thing. Like, is it All Saints Day, or is it kind of get twisted? Is it now, what it is? Like, what is it really? But you know what he talked about? He said nobody ever threw up a card table or started cursing at someone because they ruined their Halloween.
That's true.
Right? Nobody ever got up in arms because they ruined their Halloween tradition. No, never happened. Right. It just was what it was. And if it had to adjust, it's no big deal. We all kind of know the premise. We're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy ourselves. And then the day moves on.
Right.
So I'm like, that's what we're going to freaking do. Right. So we did that. And it was the best. Right. So awesome. we did this one year. My dad came in. I've told you about my dad. Oh, he's class chef, right?
Yeah.
One year my dad came here and he made Thanksgiving dinner for I think it was 38 people at my house. Right. It's freaking nutty, right?
Okay.
So, and he just absolutely killed it. And I'm like, not doing that. Yeah. Not even going to attempt something like that. No, thank you. Right. I'll throw a party for 80 people and we'll cater the thing, but I'm not going to do something like that. That's nutty.
Wow. That's wild. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to talk first about team moments of the year, okay? Team forms, team fightings. Then we're going to kind of go back in the time, some of your favorite team moments of all time, team forms, team fighting, memories maybe of just witnessing some things. And then before we finish, who's making moves to stand out in team competition in 2025? Who do we think, are making some big steps, all right? So hang on. We're going to have a wild ride. And Alex may even throw in a competitor of the week as well in there. So
I think that's going to happen.
Who are the best at team fighting this year? Let's just talk about right now, this year. What are the best, I mean, let's just say it is right now. Right now, especially in the States, the best women's team they're undefeated, has been JPM, Katarina and Katana. All right.
100%.
Right under them, who are some of the other ones that you could think of,
It'd be Team Revolution.
Team Revolution. You also think of Straight Up. And then you also have to say Diamond. The problem with Diamond right now has been that they haven't been consistent with what team they're going to bring, right?
Correct. But that's kind of the women's team all around, with the exception of JPM and Revolution. And the only reason I say that is because Revolution has so many options as to which team members they're going to go. And JPM just has the two best fighters.
Yeah.
And they don't miss.
I would have to put JPM, Straight Up in that as well, with when you have Savannah and you have
Karina,
and then you have a lot, those two are great together, but then you also add in, the other ones that they've had in as well, so that's a good one,
The thing about
and now K-Talk is on the way too, K-Talk.
That's true. The thing about Savannah and Karina is they're both very talented. But none of them are it's just neither one of them is like a boss, like a dog,
Okay.
Let's take JPM, for example. Okay.
Right.
Both Katarina and Katana, very talented. Right. But if someone's gonna not that many women do this, right? But if someone's gonna hit really hard, right, and you do that to Katana, well, she's gonna bust you up and hit you right back,
right?
And I just don't see Karina or Savannah doing any of that. I think that they both may cower to that. You see what I'm saying? I just don't feel like that's their style. That's not their makeup.
Yeah, I mean, I would see Karina being the one that hits harder, but yeah, I mean, but Savannah has ability to, but
Savannah's got all the ability,
yeah,
right.
So
I just, and I don't want to, I'm not trying to dog them. I just don't think that that's their style, you know?
right.
It's just like,
So
that
when
was
you
never
say
Alex
the
Lane's
same,
style. But Alex Lane, had a
right,
couple years where he was the best fighter that there was. And
right,
everybody knew like we would try and bust this dude up. That was what everyone's strategy was. It just
correct,
didn't work
right,
and it didn't work until it did.
yeah. So who else? And then again, who would you say? I mean, you know, Peyton can hit really hard. She
Yeah,
would
that's the
get,
other thing about
in the ring,
Revolution is you got a
and
couple of women there that could do that. Peyton could do that.
yeah,
Brianna,
yeah.
oh yeah, she would
So,
be the one that you'd be like, okay, that's not going to work against her.
right.
You know?
So yeah. I mean, and I believe, yeah. I mean, we haven't seen Yorgi as much, but she's definitely one as well. So,
There's
yeah. I
been
mean,
some team fighting performances with some women that have just picked up and fought with other women that I'm like, well, damn, she you should do this more often, but you don't have anyone to do it with,
right, right.
and so then that's kind of and we're going to talk about that when it comes to the men as well, that
Yeah.
like, all right, that's you want to do that, you want to enter into the team fighting anytime that you can for multiple reasons. Number one, you're going to fight more people than you otherwise would have if you didn't. And sometimes, especially if you're a younger fighter, like you need more reps.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just know themselves. They're like, listen, if I just go out there first fight in my division and I'm rusty and I haven't had a chance to go through, I could lose my first match. Right. So that about yourself, enter it. Even if it's like it's open weight and you're like, I have no ambition. That's not what I'm trying to do. All right. We used to do that. We used to feel that way about super fights. Right. Nobody there was some where we was like, we kind of talked about it. We're like, listen, this whole thing's rigged anyway. Right. And whether people want to take, like, we talked about that where we 100% knew that, like, listen, man, you see who's seated? Because sometimes they would just see just someone randomly.
Right.
We're gonna see this guy. Like, who? He hasn't fought all year.
Right.
We're just seating him. Like, this thing's rigged. Right. But you did the division anyway because it gave you extra reps, and that's what you needed. Exactly. And it really helps you be a more well-rounded fighter. So yeah, there's been some like, and I apologize, I forget her name. There was this woman, man, she was on Army, super talented, and I remember looking at her like, you should fight more often. You should be in this as much as you can. And I just don't think
was this year or
yeah this year.
Oh, so probably Keely, kicker. Was she a kicker?
Well, that's the thing is today there's not you can't really qualify that as one person or another unless your name is like Savannah Woliak or Katarina Herman. They're the only two that you can go like that's what you do. But yes, I do believe that that's who it was.
Yeah, it's probably Keely. Yeah.
She's super talented.
Yeah, she definitely is. She definitely is.
Another one that I would say would be I forget her last name, but Yasmina from TPK from Team Plowden Karate. Right. She's good. She's talented. Right. She should fight way more often as well.
Yeah. So she's fought some with some of the K-Tot girls in the past, so that's been good. So yeah, I agree. I mean, I love to see just when some of the, the different, I mean, there's so many great female fighters right now that that can make, that you could put together to make an awesome team. So, I mean, even when you have, like DuVries, Michigan, or whatever it's called, USA, Taekwondo that gets there with Avery and how did I just forget her name? Golly.
Avery Suter?
Yeah. And the other one from her team. Ben, help me out. I don't know why I just blanked out on this. I just saw a picture of her winning something yesterday over the weekend. Okay. But yeah, both of them are amazing fighters. They're from the same school, and both train there. Yes, Lynn. Jeez.
Oh Lynn. Yeah, Linda Group. Yeah,
but that's always a great group, together. So lots of fighters, man. And then there's some that we're not even like seeing here, right? Like when we go to Toronto, there's a lot from Canada that we're not even going to get to, I just said that there, Angel. Jeez. All right. I didn't forget about it. I just forgot their names. I'm talking about them. All right. Don't make me get. See, here we go. You know, Angel hasn't got on the show in months, and now he's going to get in here and start trying to talk trash.
Angel can't talk until he trades me in our fantasy basketball league, until he trades me Anthony Edwards.
That's right.
Figure out what you want for him.
Oh my God.
But you're not
All right,
getting
so let's talk about men. So literally, like,
yeah,
man,
let's
it's
talk
been an
about it.
exciting year, you know. I mean, you've had some awesome wins from Diamond this year, you know. You've
Quite a
had
few of them.
some awesome wins from Top 10 USA, you know, some big wins. You know, you have, you know, the straight up, you got JPM, you know, those are the four, I believe. Is there someone else I'm missing that has made that big jump? You know, another one that always I feel like can be in there. I don't think they've won this year, but Legend, you know, when everyone is healthy on their team, you know, they have a great team there. You know, what has happened as far as with and you also got K-Talk that has the ability, you know, with that to really step up. I think in 2025, that's going to be the team to look at, you know, to make that next step, you know, especially with a leader like Avery. So yeah, he
Jeremy
did.
Francoeur. That's a good point.
So that would be a big pickup for somebody, I would think, for the future. So,
but it's got to be with the right people, though.
Oh yeah.
So, like, let's just say let's say Jeremy Francoeur because he kind of was on the team with G3, right? Training or being coached by Damien, which I think would be great, but the language barrier. Jeremy's got great English, but when I first met Jeremy,
yeah, same.
He did not.
He didn't speak English at all. He was like, "Hey, Jeff,"
which I just thought this dude's an introvert. He don't like to talk, which is also true, right? But no, it's just that it's still crazy to me that there's areas of Canada that you're just good. They don't speak anything but French. Like, it's just crazy to me.
All right, but time out, Alex. This dude was coached by Alex Reyes for like 3-4 years. Okay. So, all right. So don't tell me the whole language barrier thing. All right. So it worked then. All right.
Did it?
I think
though?
I think so.
Because at that time it was like, Jeremy, you're going to do your thing, right? You got that guy? You got that guy? I got that guy.
Yeah.
Conversation done. Over. That's it. Right? I'm telling you from the inside, when we did the Hayabusa thing.
Hayabusa, yeah. Oh, I know.
Zero conversation while fighting. The only person that could talk to him possibly was Sam Gagnon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But actually he did really well when Conroy was behind him. And I'm going to tell you right now, Conroy didn't say but 3 words. Right? What are you going to say? You know, what are you going to say when you know the guy who you're talking to can't really understand you, right? It's frustrating at times. So yeah, you're right. Angel, I think he could be good, and I think 2025 is going to be interesting when it comes to teams. And let's just bring it up right with what I just said, dude. If Conroy is going to have a team,
yep,
it could be a thing. It could be a thing.
Yeah.
And some of the names and faces that we see around that are either on teams or not on teams, or on teams but not fighting teams.
Google Translate. Funny.
Translate while fighting. Get out of here.
But
But think about that. There's going to be some guys that could land with a team coached by Mike Conroy.
Right.
And so,
listen, we this weekend was the World Cup, right? In over there in Italy, and so Proper won the team, the overall, the grand champion team fighting against the Hungarians, you know, and that team is, you know, you put Connor McGlinchey, you put Bailey Murphy and you put Ricardo together, that's a crazy team, right? And and they're going against some amazing fighters, that are from Hungary, and I would just love to see that group one time against the team here in America at some
Well,
point.
yeah. Well, at least just to see Connor and Ricardo here,
Right, right,
because there is a difference in fighting culture, right?
yeah,
Those guys are incredibly skilled, but it was so funny. Okay, like I went to TMA, Tala Martial Arts
yeah,
in Tala, Ireland, and I got to train at that gym, um, at Dave Heffernan's gym. Okay, and that's where Connor and most of the great fighters in Ireland will, if they're not don't train there all the time, they will eventually have trained there and done some fighting there. So
yeah,
I got to fight with Connor, and so we just kind of had conversations about the different cultures and like what it's like and what you just don't do,
yeah.
both here and there. It was the funniest thing is then he's fighting. I think it was probably AKA, right? He's
Mhm.
fighting, and then like some people started just like there was like some late shot and some people like pushing chests, and Connor turns to me and goes, "Freaking Americans." And I laughed because that was one of the things that we would talk about. Like you would never do that there. There's
Right.
no such thing as like late shots and then the other person pushes back and pushes back. That does not happen. So when he saw that happening, we just had to laugh. We just turned to me and goes, "Freaking Americans." I had to laugh because, but now at the same time, I'm like, dude, we will bust you up. We will, right? You can say freaking Americans, but we are gonna win. Sorry, all right.
Oh man, but hey, another big thing, big ups. I mean, it's now consistent. Like, there's no argument anymore over the past 2 years, especially this year, that Bailey Murphy's the best in the world. So
Uh-huh.
another overall grand in Europe, as well as everything here. So, that's that's just settled. It is what it is, man. So just want to put that out there.
All I can think is, come on, Elijah.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on, Elijah Everett. The world still wants you. Come on
Right.
back. We'll
We have to
welcome you with open arms. We
Right.
want to see this matchup again.
Yep. Now. Yep. That would be great. All right. So let's get into the team competition. Let's just talk about big moments this year.
Yeah.
In team form. So, as always, we there's been a lot of changes this year. Actually, in team forms was the way that they split everything up. So they split up traditional and open, as well as weapons and forms. So you got team sync weapons, you got team sync weapons traditional, you got team sync forms, you got team sync forms traditional. So it's made it kind of interesting because they can have like a grand championship now for teams, right? And but the thing is, what's kind of funny is that every tournament's been doing it a little different. Some tournaments have been having each winner go against each other, like all four together. Then you have some that are putting the weapons together. Then you got some that are putting just the traditional stuff together, and then the CMX on the other side. It's very interesting. That honestly, I'm a person that likes, hey, let's keep it a structure. But to be honest with you, I kind of like that you can kind of change it up a little bit, because you know what? Like, hey, my focus is just winning my division. Once we go after that, let's just see. All right, this weekend we're going to go weapons versus weapons. All right. It makes it a little exciting for you, right? The next weekend we're going to go Trud versus Trud. All right. The next weekend it's going to be all of us against each other. I'm not a team forms person. I don't have a team form currently. A team form maybe. I don't know. Maybe I
Never
will.
had a team form guy.
Oh,
If anybody doesn't know, go back to one of the original episodes. It was probably like episode 2 or 4. It was 2.
Yeah.
Jeff Doss hates team forms. Go to episode 2. Literally 2. Jeff Doss hates team forms.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty bad. I've had some bad experiences with team forms. So, but yeah, so team forms moments of the year, I mean, there's been so many high level ones, So, Lee, yes, thank you, Lee. guys who are some team forms that stood out to you? Yes, Samantha and Maria stood out big time this year with their traditional bow sync, right? You of course you talk about the JPM teams with Esteban and Ben and Dawson, right? You also talk about, seeing Pia and DG together, right? Them being together and being a great team form again. You talk about the Molinas, they were awesome, right? Dream team partners. Oh, I don't know. That's let's make an insiders let's hear some of the insiders group on that. A dream team partners for me. As we're talking about just some of the other ones that had been, JPM traditional with Gabrielle and Sam, right? You also have, the different teams that Cameron Kloss has been on this year that he's won. Like, let's talk about, like, he's won with him, Amber and Jenna, and then he's won with him and Kaio, and then he's won with him, Joey, and Amber. I mean, he's won a lot of different people, right?
So how does that work as far as like seating? Because you can't really call that the same. That's not the same.
It's interesting.
How do they do that? Do they just call that the same team? Because that's not.
I don't think it works that way. Yeah, I think it had to be like at least two different people that could work.
Yeah.
But
I think
like that suggestion there, Alex, or no? Caitlin and Jeff. That'd be an interesting one. I don't know if our styles match. I know we're both kickers and we're probably two of the top Korean forms people the past 3 years. But I don't know. I mean, it could work.
Maybe. I guess.
Would it be open or traditional? That would be interesting. Some other ones. Let's hear some other ones, guys. Dream partners.
I mean, maybe Gabrielle.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe Gabrielle. Your styles aren't the exact same. But she. What do you mean? What are you giving me this look for?
Who?
Gabrielle Dunn. Gabrielle Rudolph. Sorry.
Right. That could be. I mean, it wouldn't happen. She's on JPM, so.
Well, I know.
Yeah, she's on a team with Sam.
But I'm just. It said Dream Team.
I know.
Throwing it out there.
Right. You're right.
Honestly, if we're talking about Dream Team, like of all time,
yeah,
maybe Stephanie Flowers.
Yeah, we could have done that at one point.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
Because your styles of form are actually pretty close.
Yeah, and we understand how to break things. I mean, even at that time, we were both trained with the same person.
Right.
So, yeah, that would have been cool.
Wait a minute. Wait. That could still happen.
What? Oh, bring Stephanie back?
What? I mean, it's not like she doesn't train in martial arts.
Right.
It's not like she's not in school. It's not like she isn't around karate tournaments. Why not?
That's an interesting one, Sam. Also, I mean, there's a lot of different ones with like a junior competitor, or there's a lot of different ones that would be kind of cool. Also, while we're thinking about that, I want to just a shout out to Stephanie and her family, as she just lost her brother. Her brother passed away last week. So yeah, I definitely want to just prayers out to them. As you mentioned her, that just sparked in my mind. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Mike Bates, what's up?
So Mike loves my sweater. I've been meaning to put my Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio autographed picture up here.
Oh, that's right.
But the Vikings just keep winning.
Yeah.
Who am I to take down Chris Carter and wear my Vikings Christmas sweater? They just keep rolling. What am I supposed to do?
I'm trying to figure out where to put all these autographs and pictures and stuff that I got over this weekend, man. Like this. I mean, it's here. I can put that.
Put it right underneath your belts, right there.
Yeah. But the problem is like the sun. I'm worried about the sun fading it.
Ooh, that's a good point.
But because that's happened to some of my belts, like some of those are supposed to be gold, don't look gold anymore. They look bronze.
Or like, dude, I had that with like my black belt certificates.
Yeah.
I look and I'm like, I can't really see the signature anymore.
Right.
That sucks, you know? Never thought about it. You don't think about that when you're a young kid.
No. All right. So let's go all time now. All right. So
Oh, this is a good one. I like this.
best team fighting memories of all time.
Our
Best
team
team
fighting. What do
fighting.
team fighting
You know,
first?
let's just go. Like I'm gonna go with. I mean, there's just so many different ones. For me, like most recent memories of team fight. Let's just for me because I want to go recent, then go further down. Right.
Sure.
Because again, I love the battles that Top 10 USA and Straight Up had. I love the battles that you know those guys were having. Even with TDE, right? I love the battles that that Bailey was having with those guys. There's so many great things that have happened in team fight over the past few years that we forget about. I think that we've had it pretty good in team fighting these last 3 years, and it's just gotten even more exciting with the JPM pickups. It's gotten exciting with the way that Diamond G3 just continues to keep finding new people and ways to do that.
Developing too.
Developing people. I mean,
Developing and coaching.
yeah. So it's really really like cool to see that, right? For me, some of my big moments were actually like that stand for me were like that fading from really at the end of Full Circle and really when Proper was still kind of the main team on NBL and in their battles that they had with All Stars on the West Coast, like there was some really high level intense battles between those guys because you're not just talking about a young team that wants to get to that next step, right? But you're talking about some local drama that people don't know about, right? That is happening between some of these people with Raymond and Jack and everybody, and it's just interesting, just to see that. And there was just some awesome battles in that. Let's see, 2010 through 2013 timeframe or 12 time that happened. And then when you talk about the first really NASCA event they went to, I think it was 2012, maybe it was 11. No, it was 12. And man, that was wild. Like to see that fighting, those guys, come and fight the NASCA style,
You're talking about Proper.
Yeah, I'm talking about Proper. And it was, Leon Jefferson, Brian Young, Alex Arceo, and just a style that a lot of people hadn't seen at that time, right? And people just wondering if if Leon Jefferson was as good as he really was. And they're like, whoa, okay, he is, but then you see that team go against a team that was kind of thrown together and the way that their strategy of those guys, really, with Cass, Greg, and Ross, and them showing that, hey, you guys are an awesome team, but this strategy type thing you aren't used to because in NBL it's lightest to heaviest, right? And it makes
when you say Cass, Greg, and Ross, do you mean Greg Betlock?
Yeah.
He did
that year. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
Raymond
one
is
of
a
each.
funny name.
Yeah. Huh?
I can't remember because they had like a pickup team, so they had like some weird name, but whatever.
Right.
But no, that was really good. I just thought that team, it's they're too close to the same person.
Who? Oh, that one?
Those three.
Yeah, I know.
They're too close to the same type of person, like Ross is just the dominant one out of all of them.
Right.
But their styles are so similar. Now,
this is a great one that Brett's going to share because this is one of my favorites too. Yeah, the early
100%
ones, Nikki and Claire, and then it didn't matter who the third was, but a lot of times the third one when it was Team Elite
was
it was Stephanie.
And
Flowers, the thing is, imagine if we would have had the full three that we were supposed to have. Dottie White was the third.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Like imagine that. That's just insane, right? And then when Stephanie left, we would we would put well, eventually we got Shelly Allen on there, who was a great lead off, for us. And then there was other ones that we would bring on from here and there. But I love women's team fighting back in the NBL days, man, because there was enough to have 3-person teams.
Yeah. That's was also when we start talking about the culture, like it was also just the culture that like, yeah, there's more for us to do. We're going to do it. Whereas on the NASCA side, it was like, but if we enter it, is there going to be anybody there? If we enter it, are they just going to throw us in the back ring? All right. If we enter it, is there going to be any prize money? Which just wasn't the case in the NBL. But insiders, go ahead and chime in with your favorite fighting teams of all time. So Mike talking about when it was All-Stars versus JPM. Yeah, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Full circle. Yeah. So look at when DDB, when Drew's talking about when it was Ross, Jason, and Hamid. Let's not forget about Cass Sigmund too. All right.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, we also have Ryan McGriff. It's like there's so many different things that you could throw at him, right?
They had a great team.
But that's what I mean. Look at that. They're all totally different styles, right?
Yep.
There's been no fighter on the planet that has a style like Jason Grenier. Cannot happen. Honestly, should not ever happen. That style should not ever be replicated again, right? Yeah, the guy is successful, but nobody planned to be successful fighting like that. Just like, I don't know, how do I compare this to anything else?
Like look at, so yeah, they had 2 teams. Sometimes
there was 2.
Yeah, but I mean,
Justin Ortiz and Damian Rodriguez were on that team too.
Right. Like look at the group that we had with Elite to CJB, right? Like literally you had Jason and Trevor, and honestly, that third person played a great role, but we plugged different people in there depending on the year, right? Like Freddie LePan was a great third person for that group, but also so was Renee, right? We had Brian Ruth in there for a point, right? We had
that's crazy.
Manny Reyes, there for a two, right? So
wasn't it like 2 tournaments or so?
Something like that. Yeah. We also had Russ Taylor, right? Which was one of the best ones, honestly.
That was a better fit.
Right. And then, you could also, Thomas Wright in the beginning of that year when we had it was really those 3. And you think about that, all 3 of them are at the same age, right? It's just wild, right? And then you add in later on when we lost Trevor, and then of course we had Damon, right? And that 3 was like the monster, right?
Yep.
But then when we lost Trevor and it was Jason and Damon, we still could plug someone in. We added Ninja. You take Ninja out, you have Tom Roberts. That's another awkward one, right?
No, 100%. Now, Tom Roberts' style has been replicated by everyone who's a great kicker that doesn't want to do a lot of work.
Right. You're right.
But I think he's highly successful with it. Josh
Horridge, right? I mean, there's so many different people that we've plugged and played with. And, because here's the deal. And this, I remember Gerald Dawson saying this, she's like, those 2 guys don't make that many mistakes. Like, it's like that, like Jason and Damon, especially at that point, they don't make too many mistakes. And they both know when it's time that they need to amp it up a bit, So really interesting how that all, goes.
Well, let's look at that team. Let's look at that kind of general team of fighters that we're talking about. Okay. You take Jason, all-time great.
Yep.
Cannot replicate someone like that.
Right.
There will be a million people that try.
Yeah.
But when you're 5'8" and you're dominating kickers, 5-6 inches taller than you, that's not normal. Okay. Trevor Nash, who is when I make the top kickers list of all time, it was like bang, right there. And then there's Roman. That's where I put him, know. But it's like there's nobody else like him, right?
Right.
He's just okay. So like you can't recreate something like that.
No.
And then like Damon,
right?
He's
And we're
he's so athletic, and he was very, very good and winning before that team was created.
exactly. He was already
He was already established.
close to his
He was
10th
the vet.
year, into his 10th year as an adult, and it's been established as the big heavyweight, especially on NBL, and the
Mhm.
one everyone wanted to see fight in NASCA. And then from there, it became like, like this just fits so well.
So then let's look at the others then, like the ones that we've mentioned: Freddie LePan, Russ
Yep.
Taylor, Lamont Fitzpatrick, Ninja.
Yeah,
All right.
Ninja. Yeah.
Were they very, very good, or did they become very, very good because of the position that they were in and the coaching that they had? And the reason I asked the question, maybe not Ninja. I think Ninja was already established, but the
Yeah,
reason
he
I asked that question is because
was kinda
before they were on that team, they hadn't accomplished a ton. Think about all the guys that hadn't accomplished a whole lot,
right.
but then once they got on the team, they just went up.
Well, I mean, Freddie
So
was,
many of them.
but Freddie was already on that team. That's a little different. Russ, that was his first time of really getting the opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that coaching definitely helped him. Renee, yeah, I mean, Renee was one that same thing. That the
I think
opportunity
the
on
same thing.
Elite,
Like,
definitely got him around people that made him better.
because I think Renee was very, very good. All right, especially in Canada. All right, but I think being on that team made him better.
Yeah,
You know what
definitely.
I'm
Definitely.
saying?
Yeah.
Or Ryan McGriff too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, but that's later. That's into
later
the
on,
CJ.
but
That's
yeah,
later.
right.
That's into the CJB days.
CJB.
But we're talking about the
into-
same guy. We're talking about the same influence, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Con-
there's just something about it, man. There's just
Well, and
something
then
about
even
it.
look before that, man. I mean, he was winning before he got the job as Team Elite, coach. Conroy, TDS.
Oh yeah. When was it TDS Telecom?
TDS, and then before that, Trade Winds. So I mean,
Yeah.
listen, he beat JPM with 3 different teams. That's like 3 years in a row. Like that's insane, right? So, I mean, we're talking about someone who really understands it. What's the equivalent of that? Like, all right, because again, we haven't really talked too much Impex. There's been a lot of Impex moments.
Mike
that were
chimed
awesome.
in with that. He says his favorite was Ross, Jotty, Avery. That's pretty dang good.
Ross, he did.
With having Jotty on that team, it's really really hard to beat a team like that. Oh, the Turbo chimes in.
Yeah, man.
What's happening, Ross?
But yeah, he has a knack, man. He definitely does.
Here's what I'll say.
Oh yeah, we definitely could have. Well, that's why they went together there, Angel. So like Jotty and Preston, if Preston was going to go, they fought well together, right? And so Preston got that offer to JPM, so Jotty as well. Both of them were like, all right, they're doing this, together, and that was a great fit, for on TDS and on JPM. So,
well, let's lean into what. I want to mention Ross again for a moment, because the way he tells a story, and he told it on the show as well, is when he ended up on the second coming of CJB, right? When he was under the understanding was that Conroy just asked him if he wanted to fight on a team. Like, hey, I'm going to put a team together. Do you want to fight on it in this tournament? He was, of course, at that time, Ross Means going to say yes. Like, heck yeah, I'll fight a polar bear. All right, let's go.
Right.
All right. And then threw him a uniform. I was like, oh, okay, let's do this. But when he says he's got a knack for finding talent, all I can say is if he asks you, don't be the guy that F's it up.
Right.
Don't be the guy that he asks that can't do nothing with that,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because I've been around those people, because there are some other people that had the opportunity and were complaining when it was just like, hey, be patient, wait your time, because there's a couple of people I can think of right now that were on the team that could have really, done something, but they just, it just didn't work out, right? And man, there's some people. So I definitely just, like, to me, that was one of my, when people ask me like some of your biggest moments, like I have to put that on there, being able to just be there with Conroy, listening to him, being right behind him as he's coaching, a lot of times rooming with him, being in the room and listening, having the meetings, having,
the stories,
there's just a lot of stuff, so that's definitely a big moment for me in my career, just being under that,
I think Mike Conroy is definitely up there for greatest martial arts storyteller, right? And they're all true too. That's the thing, right?
Oh man, hey,
and H, yeah, what Angel's bringing up, H,
yeah. All right, so real fast, some of your favorite team forms moments of all time. All right. I've told the story before of like when team forms really started becoming a thing. We didn't see it too much. Diamonds really was one of the first tournaments that really did it. In the 80s, there was some, but it was more like a demo. It was
100%.
The big thing, you saw, a lot of guys, you saw like the dueling banjos, right? Was the thing, right? Was either you saw it with kicking or you saw it with nunchucks. And that was a big thing with the team forms, right?
Sure.
Mike and John.
Well, it was a great.
That was one of the first team forms we really saw that became known, right?
And this is probably strange for people to hear, but the reason why is because when we would have a finals, we needed an extra performance to fill the time.
Right.
This is crazy to think about. We didn't have enough martial arts in the finals. We needed something else to fill the time. All right. How crazy is that? Do you have matching pants? That's what I said, Troy. You needed some American flag Zubas.
They didn't fit. It came with the whole pants and everything, but I think only this last. So when he says DS and Emming innovative, I think in some ways they did. They definitely did.
The extreme, splitting of the extreme and traditional.
Or
just it being sync.
I'm just saying in sync in general, because it
maybe
was at that time. Again, one of the first teams that I think of besides Mike and John was a team called Team Fury, and Team Fury was Kingston Ing, Jeff Durbin, and Daniel Spalding, right? And at that time, that was Kingston Ing's last year, as a junior. And Jeff had just moved up into adults. Daniel had been there for a while. Daniel and Jeff, they're in that second, third place realm in the division. They weren't beating Mike or John, you know what I mean? Those guys. Kingston was
they're one of the best in the world.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah. So they were at that point, but they worked really well with someone like Kingston. And the thing is, they really, if you look at it, it was really a precursor to demo more than sync, right? But the way that they pulled it together, it was everyone had a pose, right? Kingston had his pose, right? Daniel had his pose, and Jeff had his pose, and they would hold those poses while the other person did their section. Then the other one did their section. Then they would do something together, and it was really cool.
And it was a performance.
Yeah,
I don't think it was a form. It was a performance.
It was a performance. Yeah. So DS and Emming, when they did that. The core built into the form. Yeah, you're right. That was part of that. And then that kind of led into like Calman and Marcel, or Steve and Steve Torres and Marcel and those guys.
No, Calman and Marcel and Steve Torres and Marcel, they were already doing that. I think what Ross is talking about, I think Daniel Sterling and Matt Emming, listen, I'm just going to say it right now. They're my favorite. They are my favorite. Those two. Yeah. They're the best. I think they are the best team forms competitors. That's it. It's them, right? Wow. Because here's one of the reasons why, right? You look at like a team form and you're blown away by what they're able to do together. But if you watch Daniel Sterling and Matt Emming's form and you like blocked out one of them, it was a championship level form.
Right.
Right?
That's true. That's true.
It was a championship level form.
I think you see more of that now than in the past. Yeah.
Correct. And I
Right.
don't want it to be like, like, oh, things were better in my day. I don't want it to be like that. But it was like what was happening at that time, it was not anything like that. Right.
Correct.
Where it also at that time, and definitely before that, while there was a team form going on, if you blocked out the other person and if you just watched one person, it was all right. Right. If they did that form in their division the next day, like on Saturday, oh no, they're not cracking a finalist. Not even close.
Right. That's true.
No
That's
way.
true.
But when Daniel and Matt did theirs, they could compete for the division, doing the same thing that they did while in sync with somebody else who's doing the same crazy thing inches from their face.
Yeah.
Not normal.
Yeah, I think the next step of that later on was like Aiden and Danny, right? Danny Ekin and Aiden. That was like, to me, like the closest you got to that. I mean, there was, and then now when you're looking at, like Ben and Esteban, like their forms are just crazy what they're doing. For me, one of my favorites ever is Lauren and Casey with the single bow, right? That to me was just so innovative and awesome.
Yeah.
But then you also talk about Casey and Wayne together back then. It was just crazy, right? Like
so
that
fast.
It was so fast. And one of the ones I wish had more legs and actually had more chances to do was Casey and Gary Waugh, because that to me was the time where Casey didn't feel like she had to hold back at all in a lot of ways. And she actually had to push herself to go faster. Because Gary Waugh is one of the fastest bow competitors of all time. And that dude, like, he pushed her big time, right? And I think they only did like one time, maybe twice.
You know what I was about to say? I was about to say, Gary Waugh doesn't get talked about enough. People just talk about Gary Waugh, and then I'm immediately go, wait, I would be that person to talk about him, so never mind. But no, you're 100%. One of the things that impressed me so much about Gary Waugh is he had moments in his form when he would do the ball bat swing and then stop, and the tip of the bow would stop on a dime. And when people do that and they try to stop it, it boings, goes back and forth. So one, either your bow is too skinny and it's not, built to be able to do something like that.
Right.
So then you got to go thicker, but then it doesn't move as fast. Then it's like, oh, dang. But can I go as fast as Gary? But then you have to have a strong enough bow, a solid enough bow, right? And there's been, great, bows that have been made over the years. But then do that. You look at that man's forearms are just incredibly massive. Like they're just built. And then he would stick that thing. I tried that for years, just trying to get just the one move. And I'm like, I'm going to get this thing like Gary Waugh does. And no,
and then
that didn't happen.
They did it blindfolded, right, Derek, a couple of times. Yeah, that was good. That was.
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good team form. I mean, there was a lot. Honestly, one of my favorites ever. Yeah, I mean, those guys were crazy, but like Rudy and Steve was a good team form together. But also the one that was good that people don't talk about was Jason Gabriel and Cheech Luzzy doing the oar, and they walked in. They had the bamboo like hats and and they would row in and then do the oar form. Oh, dude, that was cool.
Okay, see, what's it called again? It's not called the oar. It's called like a U or something.
Eku.
Right.
Yeah, Eku. Yeah. There's a lot. What is a style of like team form that we haven't ever really seen? Like we haven't seen too many, at least in NASCAR, that much. Like Kung Fu or soft style team forms, right?
Bingo. That's just what I was going to say.
One of the best ones, there was a family called the Magallanes family, and they did it on the West Coast at Super Grands 2 years in a row, and theirs was sick. And they even did some of the fighting and everything in there with it, and it was awesome to see. That was cool to see. I wish I would have seen more of that.
Didn't Anthony
DX
DeMarco
had a partner one time, and they did something. It was only like once or twice.
Didn't Anthony DeMarco do a team form with someone once? I think it was probably like David Douglas.
Yeah, it was.
So it was kind of like makeshift type of thing.
Yeah, it was a little different. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the team form that like Kim and David did. You know, it's just different. You know, not really the same. So yeah, I mean, you know, it was a whole evolution to it. You know,
Mhm.
but what are some other ones that people like to see? I mean, I'd love to see some more Korean forms. You know, team forms. That would be cool. I think. You know, maybe some more soft style, more Chinese. You know, some high level stuff, right? You know, I mean, we're
Have you
seeing.
ever seen a team form of like
What do you mean?
Chinese style or wushu before? A team form?
I mean, you mean on NASCA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean on NBL, yeah, I just shared about one. As far as I mean in soft style, yeah, I mean in the wushu world, yeah, I mean you can look it up all over the place. You know, there's a lot of it.
Well,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I know that it exists. I'm just have you seen it like in person, like with in our circle?
right, yeah, yeah. The Magallanes, they
Okay.
were a big one. Um, and I feel like DX had someone that he did a team form with once, and I
Oh,
forgot what that was, but yeah. Um,
that would have probably been like '02 or something like that.
Yeah, it might have been 3 or 4, something
Okay.
like that, yeah. Yeah, because I think that was actually '04 Capital Classics, because
Okay.
I remember being on the stage of that, and there was another. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of different options. I'd love to see that. I mean, we've had it for a while now, right? So it's kind of hard. Like, what's the next innovation that's going to happen in team forms? Um,
Okay, so what's your feeling about team forms? There's so many different, you know, segments of team forms. So what's your feeling about where it's at and what it's doing or what it should be doing or where it can go or just
Yeah.
curious.
I mean, I'm not the best for that, to share about that. I mean, I really do think that I think it's interesting to see with these 4 divisions now, who's going to stand out. I do think it was hard to put like, let's say, who was it that was doing what, like Derek and Jared Liker, against like a Aiden and Danny Ekin. Like that's just 2 completely different things, right? I like seeing them separate, but also I don't mind seeing a grand where they're together if it's like that. As far as what would I like to see, I like to see more innovation, like not just. I think especially with team,
But I don't think we're gonna see more innovation.
no. Listen. I do think that people like like DG and Pia have done a great job at making the traditional forms that they do, like the way they set it up differently. They've done the blindfold, they've done it where they've been facing different ways. I had 2 students that were dominating on NBL for 3 years, Aaron and Jacob, and the way they did the form was like they never actually saw each other. They were facing a completely different way. And then when they crossed and went back and forth, but they never actually were like, you could tell they weren't following each other, and it was to
Yeah.
the point, and like that type of thing is really cool. And I think there's still some more innovations to see. I don't think we see enough of the innovations of like some different rhythm, right? Like some offset, like the ripple effect. Go and watch, like an ITF team form where there'll be like 6 people, and they'll do Gay Beck, and it won't just be the same. It'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 3 will go at the same time, and then the other 3 will go at the same time, and then they'll all go together, and then so you'll see a lot of broken rhythm and difference, and it's really different to
That's
see, right?
different.
So I would like to see something like that in NASCA, right? Because again, like the sine wave doesn't really appeal to everybody, right? So
Correct.
if you make that in a certain way, that would be cool. If you did I mean, I'd love to see some flying comma team forms. That was always cool. Love to see more nunchuck team forms. I would love to see. I mean, we haven't really seen some comma team forms in a while. So there's a lot of stuff, man, to really look at.
Okay, so we talked about a lot of great team form moments. And Drew's right. You see a lot of what you're just mentioning in team demo. You're right on, Drew.
The commas and that stuff. Yeah, I don't think you see the offset of the rhythm and stuff really. I mean, maybe
No, because there'll be haters immediately. That's not in sync.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then you got to go, maybe you're right. It's not in sync. So then what do you call it? Do you call it a team demo? Guess you got to call it. So, but
it's
when I
still
say,
synced in a different way, though, man, it's synchronized in a different way.
I
It's
totally agree with you. Totally
exactly.
agree. Right. So, but when I say we're going to see less innovation, all right, I mean that, right? We are going to see less innovation now, right? Because we're segmenting everything.
Point.
We're parsing
Yes.
everything up, right?
Well, right,
like-
right. Because I couldn't go and do a half traditional, half creative, like
Yep.
Now, one of the coolest things that we did one time is, and this was probably my best team form that I ever did, was where we started the team form. Yeah, we started the team form with OG, my student Aaron, and then we stopped after the, where we went here, right?
Yeah.
And then music started playing, and then we went right into a creative form. But now
you wouldn't be able to do that today,
and we wouldn't be able to do that in NASCA today with the way it's set. Yeah. So yeah.
So the more, and this is what I feel like, since I think it happened in 2004, like that's when they created, the separation of creative and extreme.
Right.
You just got rid of all creativity. Creativity is out the door now. It's gone because you've already just listed it and said you can't be very innovative, right?
On that part.
You have to do things that are extreme. You can do things that aren't those things. You're just not going to win.
Right.
So then people are like, well, then I'm not going to do that. All right. I'm going to toe the line and I'm just going to do my extreme form just without the extra rotation or and I'm just going to hope I win.
Right.
That's what the creative is.
Right.
I'm going to do the same thing I do in extreme. I'm just going to hope I win. All right. And then extreme is just like, okay, now there's no point. That's when standing kicks, those were gone from that point on. Those were out the window. So now you became, not only is it less innovative, people can't even do them.
Right.
People cannot do that. You can't, nobody could stand there and do 5 kicks in a row. Gone. Right. So a whole skill set gone. Right.
Right.
Just because of that. So, and that's an example of what happened there. So now that we're parsing up all these things, we enjoy team forms. We like team forms. We just spent like half an hour talking about it. Probably more, right? But when we talked about our favorites, they weren't diced up. They weren't segmented up. Right. They were together. Right.
Right. Because you could because Lauren and Casey couldn't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest performances. And what you call it.
Right.
Nothing. They would not be allowed to perform.
We'll need to see about what if we brought back self-defense? You know what I mean? Like, man,
I know.
I
don't agree with that.
Anyways, this was fun. All right.
No, wait. You didn't answer my question though. I asked you like, what do you think should be done? Like, where do you see?
I said what I said should be done.
Oh, I missed it. What was it?
Yeah, I said I want to see more Korean. I want to see some more changing of the tempo.
Okay, yes, that you said, yes, that I know.
I want to see some wushu team forms, right? But I want to see, I want to see some different weapons that we don't necessarily see. Maybe we see it in demo, but why not a straight up like real like nunchuck form or like flying combos?
I think we should get rid of the separation, traditional and extreme. Traditional and creative, we should get rid of the separation.
See, I don't necessarily agree. I think it should have been.
You just
no, I did
acknowledge.
Not. For a second, shut up. I did not. I just said before I liked it as separate. I like traditional. That I don't think we need a weapons one and a forms one. That's for me. I think it's just it's traditional and it's open.
But you'd have the traditional empty hand with traditional weapons.
Yeah,
that's gonna be hard.
I don't think so.
I'd actually be okay with weapons and not weapons. But now that I say that out loud, then I just say like, then we wouldn't. What would you have for your Lauren and Casey thing? What would you call that? It'd have to be weapons. So then can you? No.
That's what I'm saying. Let's
just open. Go right. Let's just have 100 team division. Let's just put it right.
and that's traditional. You have your traditional, you have your open. I mean, honestly, for me, there's not much traditional. There isn't a traditional.
So let's just do.
There's not a
do it all
traditional
in one.
division. So that's not really a thing. So again,
why are we separating it? Let's just put it all in one anyway.
we'll just make traditional and open.
You
If
just
you were
said they're
doing-
not really doing traditional anyway.
It's just traditional and open. I'm not even talking about weapons. Weapons, if you're doing weapons
Oh, I see.
and you're
what you
not
mean.
doing
Yeah.
like an actual traditional, then yeah, you go with your fast pace. That is open style. Okay.
Yeah.
Right? But whatever, you know,
Yeah,
it is what
I
it
get
is. So
I get
we
you.
can't go backwards, Alex. We got to go forward. All right. So here's the deal.
Out of backwards was better.
Let's time out for a second. Let's make sure we say this loud and clear for NASCA. We can't go backwards. We got to go forwards, right? So if we're doing this with that, you're not going to combine those now, are you?
Why?
Okay. Time out. They're not going to. Let's just say in this, they're probably not going to, right? So why would you go back on the 17-year-old rule, that you just made to let 17-year-olds go up? Why would you go back on a rule of letting people do as many divisions as they want to do, and now you're going to tell people not to? Right? Why are you now limiting the seniors to not just, from what I'm hearing, not just one age group, but one form and one weapon? Like you can't even do. Someone said from what we're hearing, we don't know because we only have 6-7 weeks till the next tournament, and we don't have the rules out yet, and the registration is already available. So what is it that we're going to do so people know? Because what's going to happen, a lot of us are registering or already registered this weekend for AKA, and then you're going to tell us that we can't register for those divisions that we did. So there's some interesting things that are going to happen, and hopefully that gets fixed and done the right way, proper way, right?
Let's look at that. Let's take you, for example. Let's say you register for 7 divisions.
6 divisions, yep.
6, sure. And then it comes down to it, and it's like, actually, Jeff, you can only do these 2. Who needs to pay you back? Is it AKA or is it NASCA as a whole? Because I'm pretty sure AKA would say, yeah, we're fine. All right. But if NASCA's like, listen, we're fine. They're the ones making that call. They're the ones who told you can't do it. All right. Who's responsible at that point?
Yep. Good question.
And everyone's just going to be pointing the finger. Them. It's like, it's too late. You guys got to do something now. Right.
I would like that too, Michael. I think now we're at a point where in women's teams we could. But I'd also like to see women's tag and men's tag.
I don't like tag.
Whatever.
Because tag, here's why. The reason I don't like tag is the same reason I don't love the separation of creative and extreme. Because when you're looking at the separation of creative and extreme, you're looking at the creative division, just looking to see, well, what can we disqualify them for? When you do tag team, you're doing the same thing. You're looking at them. You're not even watching the fight. You're looking to see, was the tag clear enough? Were they technically out? Were they here? Was this person's toe? Just watch the dang fight. And you totally miss that when you do the tag team.
Could be, but there's ways to fix that. So
it's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to work.
All right, go back to what but again, I think that's a big point that we need to really, again, like we talked about last week, the week before, these rules got to come out at least 4 to 5 months in advance so people know what to expect. Be honest with you, we have 60 competitors on the AAU Taekwondo Forms team that are registering, and they all got registered by yesterday. And how many issues are they going to have from being told they can't do 30, 40, 50, or a 30 plus and a 40 plus and a 50 plus, it's just, there's got to be a big change. And again, why go backwards? That's what I
want to know.
Why go backwards? You made this choice 2022 to let people do an 18 plus and a 30 plus and a 40 plus, Why go back?
Let's just get Greg Ruth on. He'll talk. and let's be like, Greg, tell us why.
Right.
Why are we doing that? Because I think let's look at it from the fighting perspective, right? When we go and you enter a WACO fighting division that allows you to do your weight class and anything above, right? And if you're like minus 74, you can do plus 74, minus 84, plus yada, da, 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 all the way up. All right. And if you do register for all of them, and then you're like, these two are going on at the same time, like you made this decision. So they're going to call you 3 times. And if you don't show, you're cut. All right. You can go over there and say, listen, I'm deep over here. I'm going to drop out of this division. Cool. You made that decision. You do not get your money back. That's it. Because you knew that going into that when you registered. Number one, I'm not advocating to totally do that for fighting, right? I do think we should keep to a weight division, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Both just to keep things clean and legally. I think we should do that. Yeah. But why can't we do that with forms? All right. Because we go back old school. You keep saying don't go back. We did the same things. We did the same thing, right, Jeff? We all entered 6 divisions.
Yeah, but there wasn't that many options back then. So
you're right. There wasn't. It was like we did everything that there was that was possible, and it was like 6 for the whole weekend. Right.
Right. And that was kind of stretching it. No, I mean, like
100%.
Growing up, it was 3. It was 1 weapon, 1 form, one fight. You were either in the musical division or you were in the form division. That was it.
Okay.
There wasn't even musical weapons back then. So
let's say there was that though. Let's say there was forms, musical forms, and weapons. Let's say it was those 3. But when you found out, you were like weapons and musical form was going to go on at the same time. You knew, like, I got to make a choice. I'm going to try to do them both. But like if they call me and I can't make it, like it was like, damn, right? Yeah. Now, even more so, that, going into that.
Right. But most of the time they were in the same ring. They were in the same area. Like, I just feel like there's some things that aren't making sense on the way things are set up. Right.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
why are half of the tournaments doing, seniors start at 8 a.m. so that way they can do the later stuff and get it done, and then half aren't, and those are the half that are having the issues. Well, because you're not doing the ring assignments the same way, and I think that's one of the issues is on that, right?
Seniors need to go early. Let them go early.
Right.
Let them get it out of the way. They're the ones getting up at 5 a.m. anyway.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess for me, it's a little difficult because for me, I'm one of the few people. Well, it's not the few people, but I'm someone that my division is offered at 18 plus. There's not a 30 plus or 40 plus Korean division, So I'm going to do that 18 plus, but then I also want to do that in my age group too. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. That's fine. But then just let me know what it is you want me to do. And then I'll figure out what it is you don't want me to do, what is it you want me to do. And then that way I can figure out, okay, does it make it worth it for me to follow this league anymore? Does it make it worth for me to keep this way? There's a lot of different options that way, right?
Because answering the question,
I don't need to say that like they're trying to push me out. No, I'm not. I know that's not it.
Right.
For the overall flow of the tournament, I think is what they're doing. I don't know why they have an issue with someone winning the 18 plus and the 30 plus grand. I think that's been brought up several times. Like,
how many people has that affected? Like Joey Castro,
myself.
But have you won an 18 plus and a 30 plus?
I haven't won it, but I've been in that group to where it makes it both. What I'm saying is I've been the runner up several times. What I mean is I don't think they like that you can compete in both is what I mean. Yeah.
But look at that.
Same thing with like Yoskar would win the 30 and the 40, right? Rayon would win the 30 and then he won the 18, or he was in the finals for the 18. I think there was, issue with having that. So,
but let's look at the double-mindedness here. Okay. So there would be an issue in theory of you winning the 30, the 40, and the 18. And it's like, okay, well, now do we have a true representative? But yet we have a Warrior Cup winner that didn't win a division.
but they have nothing to do with that because it's not a NASCAR thing.
But it
Right.
is and it isn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
th-
Yeah.
I-
Well, so I feel like if they're gonna do this, then they need to go back to the old way of letting the 30 plus winner get into the 18 plus grand. You know, you can't tell me this is as much money as you can win, or or you're not allowed to do this or that. You know, like if I want to move down, I can still compete in that, then I'm going to, right?
that would
And I
make
guess
it that would make it
you know,
simpler.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Because then if you do that, that makes it simpler.
there's not a right way to do it. There's just going to be a way that kind of flows for what works best, right? And then all of us got to figure out what it is we want out of this, and why we're still doing it, right? So,
But that makes it brings it up the same thing for fighting then too.
yeah.
So yeah,
So,
you
like-
can have a 30 plus winner, but then if that 30 plus winner wants to enter,
Yeah.
it's not as clean,
Yeah, that was the reason why they went out of that, is because they like the bracket was set up a certain way in that way, So, but
which then just fine. Just let someone like Brian do the 30 and the 18, right? Or Kevin do the 30 and the 18. Or that's what I don't think that they're understanding is some of the best fighters right now are 30,
right,
right?
right,
Like
exactly.
they missed sometimes they were missing it when at one point when you had Raymond Daniels, Trevor Nash, Jason Borelli, Brian Ruth,
Yeah.
Jody Tension, Damian Gilbert.
Right.
None of them were in their 20s.
Right.
None of them. All right. I think when Ross Levine when he won his last diamond ring, he was in his 30s. So what are we? So to separating it, I get it, but let them do both. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's definitely not too easy to win 30 plus division. I mean, I'm going
No.
to tell you, there's been several times where I've only won my 18 plus division and not won my, and my 18 plus division had 30 people in it, so it wasn't like it was an easy one either, but it was like, so I don't think that's definitely the case. There's also differences when you look at, things are split up a lot more in the 18 plus and not in the 30. So it makes it very, very difficult. Why is the 30 plus grand championship open and traditional together, but everything else is separated, right? So it's very interesting how some of that is. So,
or why does the women's overall not make most sense? Like, oh yeah, there's just one of them, and nobody bats an eye because like that makes sense.
For the 18 plus women, yeah.
But for the men, it's like, well, no, we got to separate them.
Separate it, yeah.
Certainly not for safety because you don't have any problem with them doing it. All right.
Right.
So why are we separating it?
Separating.
Right.
Yep.
And the whole reason, which made sense, was because it's like, okay, let this lightweight winner earn something.
Right.
But
same thing. Well, I mean, I think that's the big thing is like, dude, like, that's why I talked about the whole, splitting things up, sharing the money, pushing it out, like that year, man, that they had the top 3 got money. Like if you were on stage, you knew you were making some type of money, which I believe should happen, I mean, that it's got to be that way. And then there could be options for the overall, so, but I don't know, man, this has been a fun talk. We've gone all over the place. We're at 1:43. I'm ready to go to bed. I got to go to the gym tomorrow, get back to really focus for Toronto. I mean, I am, I've been training, but, and finish out the year and then use this to carry the momentum towards Warrior Cup. And if people don't know, we will see the main gang will be in full form at Warrior Cup. So we're going to have a live inside scoop going on while we're there. We're going to do some live, main gang talks. Everybody's going to be there. The whole Fist Kicks and Flicks will be there. Inside Scoop will be there. Travis will be there. We're working on some other guys being there. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
It will be a great time.
So going to be great. All right, guys.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys next week.